Hi everyone, this is Danai, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about a couple of general practice mistakes that you should be avoiding. When we get into the nitty-gritty and into the details of all the technical exercises and all of that, sometimes we forget the big picture. So this is why I wanted to make a video about some general practice tips that I think are really key in order to having a successful and efficient practice session and in order to progress quickly. So if you're interested in hearing those, then keep on watching. So as you can see, I'm not at home. I'm actually in South Africa right now. I'm in Johannesburg. This is the first stop of my tour. I'm going to be playing Mendelssohn's First Piano Concerto in South Africa a couple of times and also some recitals. Maybe I'll make a vlog on that. Leave me a comment if you would actually be interested in me recording one of my days here or one of my concerts here. If you want me to take you with me for part of the tour, let me know. But now let's get into the mistakes to avoid when practicing. So as I said, these are some general mistakes that I believe happen to any pianist at any level. These are things that we sometimes just tend to forget or simply neglect. So these are not really just for beginners, but for anyone. I have made these mistakes. I believe everyone probably has forgotten about one of these points at some point. So the first thing that I want to mention is to make sure to get an outside perspective on your playing on a regular basis. Now, if you are a student, that happens automatically because you are probably playing for your teacher every week. So then you don't really need to think more about that. But if you're someone that is learning at home, if you're self-taught, if you're learning with tutorials and all of that, then try to get an outside perspective. Now, if you don't have a teacher, that doesn't need to be a problem. An outside perspective can also be you recording yourself and then listening to it from the outside. So as a listener, not as a player who is involved and focused in that moment when you're playing and not really able to judge what you're playing objectively. So that outside perspective is really important, I believe. And of course, having someone listen to you is the ideal thing. So a teacher or simply a friend, play for a friend, ask them about their opinion of what you're doing. But also, as I said, recording yourself and just listening to it and then critiquing yourself as if you were your own student can also go a long way. When I have long periods where I'm not playing for someone, then I do record myself, and sometimes I'm so shocked and surprised when I listen back to those recordings because I don't even realize what I'm doing sometimes. So recording yourself can really be helpful. My second general tip kind of goes without saying because it also is what my entire channel basically is about. But I just want to mention it because I think it should be part of this, and it is to not just simply play through the pieces repeatedly, but to actually develop efficient and effective practice methods. So practice in sections, practice with exercises. All my videos are basically about that, how you can break down technically hard passages or just a piece in general and learn it in an efficient way. So make sure to not just play through a piece because you're going to get frustrated quite quickly, but actually practice sections, break it down, and really make sure that you're building it up from the base. My third general tip is one that I have also mentioned a couple of times, and it seems fairly simple, but we also tend to forget, and it is to enjoy what you are practicing and to have fun while practicing. Now, why am I saying that? I think I have already mentioned this in a couple of previous videos, but our brain actually performs better when it enjoys, when we actually are having fun with what we are doing. So I have participated in a couple of studies where pianists were supposed to play and their brain activity was measured and there were brain scans that were being made. And what was found out was that when we are playing something that we love and when we enjoy what we are doing, we are actually learning it faster. We are more concentrated, we are more focused, and we will get to the end result faster. We will progress more quickly. So what that means is find a way to make whatever you are practicing extremely fun. And even if you're practicing something that is kind of annoying, like an exercise, then maybe find a way to practice it with a specific exercise that you enjoy in order to make it fun. And of course, when you're playing pieces, just try to play pieces that you love. That's what you should be doing anyway, and not pieces that you don't love. Because as I said, when you play something that you love, you progress so much faster. My next tip is also pretty important, and I find that not everyone is aware of that, and that is to use different tempi when you practice. Now, of course, you know that I have talked about slow practice extensively. Practice slowly. That is clear anyway. Slow run-throughs are gold and definitely help. But it's more than just that. It's not just the slow run-through and then the end tempo run-through, but there are also steps in between that can be very helpful. Kind of a middle tempo in between the slow and the fast is great in order to secure technical things and in order to really know where your fingers have to go. But something else that has helped me a lot is, especially when you have a technically demanding piece, to practice it slightly under tempo. So let's say if you're using the metronome, your end tempo is at 144, practice it at 138 or at 132 to make sure that you are actually also mentally controlling your fingers and not just doing the automated muscle movements at the tempo that you've practiced. So slightly under tempo and also slightly over tempo, just in order to keep that flexibility and to make sure that your mind is controlling your fingers and not your fingers just controlling your thoughts. And this is something that then on stage, for example, can create stress situations and anxiety situations. So practice slightly different tempos, slightly under tempo, slightly over, middle, slow, of course, as well, in order to ensure that you are mentally completely in charge of that piece. And my final tip is one that probably also is more interesting to mention and to focus on if you don't have a teacher that you go to anyway, because the tip is to set goals on a regular basis that you are then trying to reach and that you are working towards. If you have a teacher, again, that probably happens automatically because the teacher will be telling you, you need to play that piece until then and reach that goal. But if you are self-taught and learning by yourself, then set goals for yourself. So a goal could be to learn a certain movement by a certain deadline. A goal could also be to be able to play through a piece for someone at a certain point in time. So set those goals, and of course set realistic goals that you're actually able to reach, and then work towards them. Because sometimes, even if we're motivated, if we don't exactly know what we're working towards, the progress might be a little bit slower, or you might even stagnate. Whereas if you have a clear goal in mind that you're working towards, then you will actually get there because you know exactly where you're going, you have it in your vision, and you are walking straight towards it. I hope that you enjoyed this short video on some general mistakes to avoid and some general practice tips. Although some are probably kind of self-explanatory, I still think it is important to remind ourselves of them, and this is why I made this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. That would help me a lot. I also have a course on basic technique building skills. I've recently been getting a few comments on how you can register for that. So just so you know, I always put the link in the description box. If you're interested in that course, just click on that link and it will get you there. The first 4 lessons are free and then you have to register. So if you're interested, then take a look. And I will see you again in my next video next week. Bye.